This week, the nation has been rocked by reporting that the FBI hid roughly 2 million pages of documents in addition to 5 burn bags of evidence. Included was the proof that the FBI was running a deep state coup to overthrow our government. I know that because the FBI intercepted my evidence and silenced me. I'm putting the evidence they buried out just as fast as I can. The first piece of evidence I'm going to play is proof that in 2017, I knew exactly what the top reporters are discovering today. I made dozens of attempts to report that I was an eyewitness in the attack against Trump and that there was a coup to overthrow our country. I know that because I caught the person who planned it. She told me that they were going to do this. I went to all the proper authorities, including Trump's attorney, and the organizations that were exposing this attack against our country. This is a video of me trying to reach Donald Trump's attorney. In a minute, I'm going to play it. And I'm also going to play a video of Dan Bongino explaining what happened to my report. The spy agencies intercept reports like this and destroy them, as terrifying as that is. This is one of dozens of reports that I made to Donald Trump's attorney that was obviously intercepted and buried by spy criminals. They don't stop at electronic interceptions. The spies are also on the ground in key positions, and they won't hesitate to get physical when necessary. I'll play videos showing that later also. The clip I'm about to show you is from a video I made in May of 2017, which I expected the spies would intercept. Obviously, I had seen this before. The full video shows me sending the document and getting confirmation that it was received, or so it seems. That doesn't prove that it was received by Trump's attorney. It's quite apparent that this report was received by the spy agencies and nobody else. Clip 8, please. Okay, that's the report I was talking about. Let's see what it says. Picture 1, please. So the report there says, Mr. Sekulow, that's Trump's attorney, I have evidence that corrupt spies in our federal government have intercepted your emails to obstruct victims of corruption conducted by the US DOJ from reaching you. I am one such victim with a critically important case, evidence, and testimony that the spy agencies have been spying on citizens in order to take advantage of them. I am also a witness with several pieces of evidence that Sally Yates was overseeing and still involved in this shadow government attack on our country. I'm a victim of a racket and a whistleblower who has been silenced. My testimony is also quite relevant in the defense of our president's actions in firing the DOJ employees who are obstructing these critical cases. I doubt you will receive this message and will videotape the screen as I send it. Hello everybody, I'm Ferris Broxton. Today I'm going to play for you more new evidence proving that I'm the eyewitness the FBI is still working to silence with your money. Before I show you the faces and play the recordings of the people who helped the deep state attack America, I have to lay a foundation. Let's start with the former Deputy Director, Dan Bongino, reporting on what he can't disclose. This is Dan Bongino on Fox and Friends News, leading into the bombshell revelation of what's happening this week. This is the foundation for what's being exposed today. This took place 9 months ago. Clip 1.
And we found stuff, a lot of stuff.
A hidden room.
I wouldn't call it hidden, but hidden from us at least, and not mentioned to us. And then we found stuff in there, and a lot of it's from the Comey era, and we are working our damnedest right now to declassify. And just so you know, because I get the public, I totally understand people saying, well, do it now. The process is not all the information is ours to declassify. Some is other intelligence agencies. It's not, we literally can't do it. Once that gets done and that gets out there, and you read some of the stuff we found that, by the way, was not processed through the normal procedure, digitizing it, putting in FBI records. We found it in bags hiding under Jim Comey's FBI. Quickly, you're going to be stunned.
The shells on the...
Wrapping your mind around that right there is beyond the scope of pale. That was the attempt to overthrow our country. Notice Dan Bongino says that much of the evidence is property of other intel agencies. One of the leading watchdog groups defending our country against the deep state is an organization called Judicial Watch. In my videos, I've sometimes mistakenly referred to Judicial Watch as Judicial Review. Tom Fitton is the president of Judicial Watch. When Tom Fitton saw the clip I just played for you, he had Judicial Watch file a lawsuit to gain access to the hidden evidence. The evidence that Jim Comey and Chris Wray's FBI hid from the nation. Some of that, no doubt, is the evidence I'm playing for you today. This is Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, telling you how he learned about the massive, roughly 1.9 million pages of hidden documents. This was revealed just this week. Clip 2, please.
So, Judicial Watch thought, oh, isn't that interesting? So our team filed a Freedom of Information Act request, literally just asking for the records Dan Bongino referred to there. Asking for the records Kash Patel was referencing in the boxes and things. And the FBI stalled, but they finally confirmed to Judicial Watch, yes, there are files there. And not only there are files, but there are a lot of files. Upwards of 1.9 million records have been found in that secret room that Dan Bongino disclosed. Records about Jack Smith and other anti-Trump investigations and who knows what else.
And who knows what else? I do. Now, Tom Fitton is a man mountain. He's been fighting for American liberties for years. But I'm about to reveal a team of spies and possibly other actors who are secretly surrounding Tom Fitton and Judicial Watch to keep the bravest reporters from getting the evidence and witnesses who are trying to reach them. I'm about to show you a massive deep state operation to control the media and independent investigators. This is a government plot to control the evidence the citizens see. I was on my 4th trip to D.C., attempting to reach any good FBI agents or watchdog groups who could help me bring forward the evidence and testimony that I've collected. At that time, the John Durham investigation, Judicial Watch was investigating and publicly disclosing that on their broadcast. Let me say that again. At that time, during the John Durham investigation, Judicial Watch was investigating and publicly disclosing that on their broadcast. I made numerous attempts to reach Judicial Watch. What I found was alarming back then. And I described it accurately back then. But now, with the new developments, you will clearly see I've caught a whole bunch of spies conspiring to overthrow our country in a long-term, well-orchestrated plot. This is me in June of 2019 in D.C. trying to reach Judicial Watch. The first clip is me calling Judicial Watch. Clip 3, please.
Judicial Watch, how may I help you?
Yes, ma'am. I am an eyewitness to pretty much everything that you guys are interested in.
I busted Sally Yates using FISA warrants to run racketeering operations, and a number of the top government officials that got caught up in trying to oust Trump. Pretty obvious to me that it's because they're caught criminals. I managed to infiltrate their organization. It's a pretty bizarre story how I got in, but Sally Yates, I had caught her and couldn't do anything about it. But I have a tremendous amount of evidence to show that the FBI, CIA, and NSA have used the fraudulent FISA warrants to run criminal organizations, but I also have evidence to show that they've obstructed Trump's case by intercepting my email, snail mail, phone calls, etc., and sending ghost returns or fake returns. I've got some pretty interesting, like pieces of mail that were sent to his attorneys and were returned instead of being accepted. Certified mail that I still have that's never opened. Stuff like that. It's pretty obvious that it proves government obstruction of Trump's witnesses and exculpatory evidence.
Notice I say that I'm an eyewitness against FBI, CIA, and NSA. Now recall that Dan Bongino just explained that much of the evidence he found in the FBI building was property of other spy agencies. There's no way that Judicial Watch would have let this call be ignored. I call and clearly state that I am an eyewitness with the evidence that they're looking for in their publicly announced investigation. I have no doubt that this call was intercepted by the spy agencies, posing as the receptionist for Judicial Watch. I've recorded them doing this many times before. They can do it electronically, or they can have a person in that position. I can't play all the recordings I've made of my weeks-long attempts to reach Judicial Watch and other organizations. There are hundreds of hours of these obstructions that I've collected on video. The lady on the phone passes me along to the voicemail of a man named Jeffrey Lyons, who handles much of the Judicial Watch investigations. Wait until you find out who Jeffrey Lyons really is. Here is one video of me getting blown off by Jeffrey Lyons. But wait until you see how far he takes it. Later, I'm going to reveal some shocking information about the man named Jeffrey Lyons. This is the first time that Jeff Lyons is cornered and has to respond because I won't stop calling Judicial Watch. They're on the radio. They're constantly broadcasting that they're investigating this case and looking for the evidence I have. So ultimately, the man has to take my phone call. But listen to how hard he tries to get rid of me. Clip 4, please.
Okay. Here's the deal, okay? I don't have time today to meet with you. You can drop material off, or I can send you my email, and you can email it in. We can look at it, and we can decide what to do with it, okay? But I'm not interested at this point in time in spending an hour or two chatting about things. If you have some documentary evidence, that's fine. If you have some allegations, that's fine. I'll give you my emails, and then we'll see what.
So I call Judicial Watch constantly, leaving messages that I have evidence that Tom Fenton is talking about on the radio. The secretary and Jeff Lyons are forced to take their obstruction to another level. They can't let me in the office where other members of Judicial Watch would see me and realize I'm the key witness that they're looking for. Instead, a lady comes out and takes a written report outside of the building where I can't play the videos and lay out the evidence I've collected. They won't even let somebody have a legitimate conversation with me and present the evidence I've collected. Now, this is a large office building that houses other organizations also. The question is, why am I only able to reach 2 people at Judicial Watch? both who are preventing me from being seen by the rest of the organization. I realize that these two are deep state operators who are obstructing Judicial Watch. I'm hanging out at the door of the large office complex hoping to catch a glimpse of Tom Fitton or one of the Judicial Watch employees who isn't a deep state criminal. The security team, or concierge for the complex, repeatedly tries to run me out and clearly assist the deep state actors who are trying to keep Judicial Watch from hearing about me. They won't even let me sit inside on the seats, clearly provided for that purpose, while I attempt to reach Judicial Watch by phone. The lady you're about to watch starts a loud confrontation. Notice she will not allow me to talk to anyone without loudly interrupting and making a scene. Clip 5, please.
Okay, I'm at Judicial Review now, and this lady here, the security guard, will not let me go up. I've documented. Okay, you can go ahead and call the FBI.
I don't want to do all of this.
Okay,
All I'm asking,
I'm a
just trying to
FISA
do my
abuse
job.
witness, and I have a right to an attorney.
Sir,
Okay, thank you.
So she begins to put her
Just
hands
documenting that
on me.
I'm peacefully standing over here, attempting to contact Judicial Review, and they're not allowing me to do that. So I'm going to try to call them from outside the building. I'll try to. Sir, do you by chance work in this building? Do you by chance work in this building?
While I'm quite aware that there is an organized obstruction going on, that's quite obvious. And I have her face on video. She is clearly part of that obstruction. Notice I call her bluff and tell her to call the FBI. She makes unwanted contact, so I either have to push back or leave. I make sure to point out my reason for being there a second time. I've already made it clear to her that Judicial Watch is publicly asking for information I have, and that there are a couple people at Judicial Watch who are obstructing the purpose and publicly stated investigation of the organization. It's very obvious that this woman has already been instructed to prevent me from saying hello to anyone. I make this video to prove that she is aware that I am an eyewitness in the huge federal investigation. She won't be able to deny that. It's necessary for me to show how flagrantly they have chosen to single me out and run me out of the building, why I won't be able to reach Tom Fitton. Video 6, please.
So I've made it very clear to her that it's a 20-year penalty for obstructing a federal investigation. I have a right to an attorney, and you can see what they're doing. I was standing in the corner quietly trying to call and let them know that I'm being obstructed at the front door.
Ultimately, I stand outside for an extended period. The spies realize this is a problem because here I'm likely to meet a Judicial Watch employee who isn't a deep state actor, maybe even Tom Fitton himself. This goes on for days. Finally, one of the people cooperating comes down or appears to come down and take a report from me. Then I'm told that Jeffrey Lyons will contact me. This takes away any justification for me waiting outside of the complex, at least for a day or so. You see, if a police officer were to come up then and say, "Why are you here?" and somebody were to come out and say, he's been told that somebody will contact him, then they try to make you look crazy. After a couple days, I return. When I return, Jeffrey Lyons is finally forced to come and meet with me. He does not talk like a sane man. He is just forced to make an appearance so he can say that he met with me. He meets me in the lobby instead of inviting me upstairs. He refuses to look at any recordings or evidence I've collected. He just wants a paper summary. He is a professional at what he does, obstructing the Judicial Watch organization. But it's time for me to tell you what I know about Jeffrey Lyons. 10 years before this drama, when I stung Sally Yates, she named a bunch of key players in the deep state. She was also throwing out names trying to find out who I knew and how I was able to be so effective in figuring out the corruption that I was exposing. She was convinced that I had some really connected helpers. The thing Sally Yates said to me about Jeffrey Lyons really stuck out in my head. She started out with him as she did with many players. Do you know Jeffrey Lyons? Everything she said was being relayed by David Lord, so there was a little room for misunderstanding. What I heard was, do you know Jerry Lyons? I was shocked. Jerry Lyons was my next-door neighbor for many years. We cleared up the identity in this case because Jeffrey Lyons, Sally Yates was talking about, was one of the few attorneys she knew that would take a case like this. The discussion of Jeffrey Lyons came long after I made it very clear that I had my own plan, that Tim knew my plan, and that I would not cooperate with her plan, that anything they wanted me to do, they would have to force me to do. But now you know that Jeffrey Lyons, this big civil rights attorney, clearly obstructed the nation's most important investigation, in the investigation by Judicial Watch that Tom Fitton has been covering to this very day. That's what? 8 years? Once again, I prove that I am the nation's most important eyewitness in the grand conspiracy to control the United States of America. I am exposing a deep state agent that has obstructed these investigations by obstructing a watchdog group, the one that today has broken the biggest news once again. Now I'm going to leave you with another terrifying piece of evidence showing how much of your money is used by the spy agencies to collect and destroy evidence and witnesses. Clip 7, please.
Made it clear that I have been to Washington for the 4th time, that I have been to every proper authority, including the Attorney General, the Senate, the House buildings, all of them, all six or seven of them, for days on end, that I have talked to countless representatives, officials at their front doors, that I've sent them emails, that I've provided the evidence, that I've gone through every single feasible possible avenue that I can think of, and many that are acknowledged to me as be the appropriate and proper avenue while this is under investigation. While FISA abuse and the origins of the Trump investigation are under investigation by the Attorney General, Bill Barr, the Assistant Attorney General, John Durham, the Inspector General.
That's right. I have video evidence of this same drama playing out over and over at Jim Jordan's door, at the door of the ACLJ, the door of Donald Trump's attorney, the DOJ, the White House grounds, the FBI, intelligence oversight, judicial oversight, and more. It's quite evident to me that when a witness like me comes forward, they go to the people in the organization and they say, a radical is plotting an attack against you. And they convince the person that wants to hear your report that there's a threat against them. That's something that I've been able to see and understand is going on whenever I try to come forward. They treat me as if I'm some sort of a threat instead of an eyewitness. The technological revolution is being used against us by the people who control the policies of the FBI, NSA, and DOJ. The criminals who have conspired to overthrow your country are caught. They are completely exposed, like an oyster on the half shell. But officials like Governor Armstrong, U.S. Attorney Nick Chase, and Representative Julia Fedorchak are failing to speak up and demand accountability. This is one of the shirts that I wore to Washington, D.C. what I found is that when people saw where I stood and what I was doing, they would talk to you. They were interested. I'm amazed that the people that are out there support me so loudly. These shirts make a statement and they educate the public. The spy agencies have done a sensational job at deceiving the American citizens. But now it's time to pull back the curtain and hold the criminals accountable. I'm selling shirts to raise money and raise awareness. I'm selling shirts to educate the public on what's going on. So you can see the link to find those shirts and to help support me and to help raise awareness while we can. It's critical that we get the information and the evidence out into the public's hands while Donald Trump is still president. Thank you for your time.